6 U.S. Capitol police officers hurt in a violent pro-Palestinian protest outside the DNC headquarters in Washington. Democrat lawmakers had to be evacuated, and House offices went on lockdown.
I wondered if I could get your reaction to what we saw happening at the DNC this evening with protesters.
Yeah, I haven't really seen it because I've been so busy with keeping the government open and getting NDAA done. So I'll have to comment tomorrow. Yes.
But just to follow up on that, 6 U.S. Capitol police officers were injured this evening.
I'm not going to comment till I see the details.
Former Georgia Congressman and Iraq War veteran Doug Collins joins us now. Doug, what do you think about this level of violence outside the DNC?
Violence? Are you saying violence? Nobody else is covering violence. I mean, if anything else, if this had been anything else besides pro-Hamas demonstrators, which is just, in and of itself is amazing to me, Democratic lawmakers will be on the front steps of the Capitol. They'll be in every place yelling that this is, an attack against the government and democracy and everything else. This is just really sad when you see Chuck Schumer basically avoiding questions where his own members and House members were having to be locked down because of this kind of violence. Don't tell me this was mostly peaceful. This is not mostly peaceful. These people are not here to have a mostly peaceful protest. And it's sad that Chuck Schumer just won't come out and say that.
But why? I mean, Chuck Schumer is one of the most pro-Israel voices in Congress. If not him, Doug, then who?
Yeah, I don't know. And that is sad because he is one of those voices that you would look to at this dude would say something. But maybe it's just you're just baffled by this because, I mean, this is something that should be easily condemned and he won't do it. I mean, you don't know if that's still the forces of the pro-Hamas, and the other side ceasefire group that is in Washington right now influence on the Democratic Party. Maybe that's why he's not talking about it. But it is sort of strange that he wouldn't even say anything about it last night.
Yeah, well, there was a March for Israel that took place the day before this happened, 300,000 people strong. It was a very peaceful and beautiful event. And then you see what's going on your screen right here where 6 police officers were hurt. There's a big difference in the mood and how the two sides are behaving with this regard. Doug, we also want to ask you about this brand new Fox polling that shows Donald Trump way in the lead on the Republican side, 62% support. That's about 50 points. There's a 50-point gap between him and Ron DeSantis there. There's also a poll that shows Joe Biden's approval rating at record lows, down to 40%. So on paper, back-to-back, these two things would look good for Donald Trump, bad for Joe Biden. But what do you think about this? And can you really glean anything from polls this far out?
You can glean that Joe Biden is very unpopular right now, and this is very much of a concern for Democrats. You can also glean the fact that Donald Trump is by far the front runner and at this point will be the nominee for the Republican Party. What it shows, though, is that there's a long way away. We're a year away. And I think this is why the Democrats in particular are so concerned, because they don't see these numbers moving. If anything, they see it going backwards. And they see the way that Donald Trump, is continuing to maintain that lead. But they also see how every time Joe Biden seems to be more out in public on things that he should be winning on, he's actually going backwards, and that's a concern for them, and that's what you would take away at this snapshot in time. By the way, that 300,000 people who was on the mall just a couple of days ago, the Washington Post deemed it good enough to make the metro section, sure, not front page.
It's unreal. Doug, 10 seconds to you at this point. Is it time for the GOP to coalesce around Donald J. Trump as its nominee?
It's getting to that point. I think you'll see that after the primary start. We need to get into our elections, but right now that's what the polls are showing. That's what people are asking for.
Doug Collins, we always appreciate your time. We thank you very much for joining us on a very busy Thursday morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.